Host, do you really agree to donate your heart to Katerina? Although you are a transmigrator, you won't truly die until the mission is complete. But once your body loses its heart, it is equivalent to a death sentence. I can only find you a new body to replace it. And during the heart exchange, you will experience a very intense sense of impending death, Gloria calmly said. I know. Even though Jonathan always avoided discussing this point, she knew that to save Katerina, the price would be her own life. In Jonathan's eyes, she could die and be reborn, simply appearing before him in a different identity. As long as she hasn't completed the task goal for a day, she cannot leave for that day, and will forever agree to all of Jonathan's requests without any bottom line to please him. Previously, she was made to constantly give in to Katerina, but now she is being asked to die. In the cold corridor, Gloria thought, then let it be as they wish. Chapter 1. Before long, the door was opened, and Jonathan's eyes were as cold as ever. His voice oppressive. Do you realize your mistake? The corridor in December is bone-chillingly cold. She was locked outside by Jonathan for 3 hours, her hands and feet frozen stiff, her lips pale. Gloria doesn't know where she went wrong. Is it just because she refused to agree to Katerina getting a heart transplant? Behind Jonathan, a little boy stood straight, wearing the same cold indifference as Jonathan. Mom, is it because you won't give Katerina Aunt a heart that Katerina Aunt can't play with me anymore? Anyway, you won't die. So what's wrong with giving your heart to Katerina Aunt? If you don't agree, I won't recognize you as my mom anymore. Hearing her son's icy words, even though she was mentally prepared, it felt as if Gloria was stabbed hard in the heart. Lucas is now only 7 years old, having inherited his father's high intelligence, and even his preferences are the same. They both like her twin sister, Katerina. Thinking of this, Gloria felt an uncontrollable pain in her chest. She had always known that Jonathan had someone he couldn't forget. 10 years ago, when she first received the system task and tried to get close to Jonathan to increase her favorability, she already knew Jonathan had no interest in any woman. No matter how much she catered to him, the task would always fail. It wasn't until the 3rd time that the system replaced her with Katerina's twin sister. With a face similar to Katerina's, she successfully married Jonathan and stayed by his side for 8 years. She stood by Jonathan in his moments of loneliness and shared a glass of champagne with him in times of success. Jonathan's favorability finally reached 99%. Gloria once thought she had succeeded. Jonathan had already fallen in love with her, until Katerina returned home and needed heart surgery. Jonathan said he wanted her heart. Every time Gloria refused, Jonathan's favorability decreased by 1 point. In the end, he candidly said, "Why bother? Even if you don't agree, you can't leave my side. I know you have a task given by the system, and until it's completed, you can only keep trying to please me. If you obediently agree, I would actually feel sorry for you, and my fondness for you would increase. Why don't you try to be a bit smarter? Be a bit smarter." Gloria burst into tears. Jonathan was indeed very smart, with an IQ of 153, making him a skilled heart surgeon at a young age. So even emotions, he quantified little by little into numbers, controlling them like an experiment with a cold measuring cup, forcing her to compromise again and again with a tiny glimmer of hope. At that moment, she realized that Jonathan didn't dislike her. He was just too cold-blooded and too heartless. He was like a piece of iron that could never be warmed. Since that was the case, she didn't want to waste another 8 years. "I promise you," Gloria finally agreed with tears in her eyes. Meanwhile, she also said to the system in her heart, "This time, after I die, please give me a different mission target." After she exchanged her heart for Katerina, this body would die completely. By then, she didn't want to chase Jonathan anymore. Jonathan, Lucas. Neither of them wants her. Father and son. An unexpected expression appeared on Jonathan's usually indifferent face. Gloria has always been stubborn, never easily backing down, so this time he was prepared for a protracted struggle, but he didn't expect her to agree so quickly, so decisively. "Did you really think it through?" Gloria nodded. She forced out a smile that wasn't particularly pleasant. "Since you all want me to give my heart to her, then I will." Jonathan was momentarily at a loss for words. He frowned slightly, sensing something was off with Gloria, but didn't think much of it, only saying, "Come in and rest for a bit." As soon as she entered, Lucas threw the things in front of her and said condescendingly, "Bad mom. Fix this." Chapter 2. On the coffee table was a handmade lace headband. From the style, it seems to have been brought over from Europe. It should belong to Katerina's daughter. Gloria couldn't help but laugh sarcastically. These two father and son are truly affectionate. Even her daughter is loved by association. Seeing her smile, Lucas furrowed his brow uncomfortably and said loudly again, "I want to see it fixed by tomorrow. Fix this right now." Gloria coldly turned her gaze away. "I won't. The handmade lace is intricate, and this piece has a large hole for some unknown reason. Repairing it is by no means a matter of a day or two. She just spent 3 hours outside in the cold, her hands and feet numb and stiff, making it impossible for her to do anything." Lucas suddenly got angry. "Why are you so useless? It's not that you can't do it. You just don't want to. I promised Roma's sister that I would bring her a good one tomorrow, so you must do it today." Gloria held a cup of hot water to warm her hands, her voice very cold. "Lucas, I am your mother, not your maid." She rarely has Lucas under strict scrutiny. Lucas inherited his father's high intelligence, requiring almost no effort from her in his studies. Thus, most of the time, Gloria plays the role of a supportive figure, taking care of Lucas's daily needs, from the smallest details of food and clothing to the larger concerns of his health. Gloria attends to everything meticulously. Even so, Lucas always manages to find fault. Accustomed to his mother's contributions to the family, he comfortably lets Gloria do anything for him and complains that she doesn't do it well enough. Even the sound of storytelling, he has to nitpick the highs and lows. Gloria knows that raising a highly intelligent child is never easy, so she endures everywhere. But now, she doesn't want to endure anymore. Lucas was taken aback by her attitude. Looking at Jonathan, Jonathan walked over from the kitchen and said to Lucas, "Let Mom rest tonight. We'll do it tomorrow." At this moment, Jonathan seemed to have returned to being the devoted husband again. He wore an apron. His gaze gentle, he placed a hot water bottle in Gloria's arms and comfortingly stroked her head. "Why get angry with a child?" Gloria slightly tilted her head, avoiding his movement. Her voice was calm. "I am not angry with him." She was just notifying Lucas that she would no longer be his housekeeper. Jonathan's hand froze in midair, then retracted. In the silence, there was an atmosphere that left him at a loss, an indescribable sense of loss. Jonathan furrowed his brow. He had never seen Gloria like this. In his mind, Gloria should have cried and made a scene, blaming him, resenting him, and then finally compromising. But now, she bypassed all those steps and calmly accepted everything. It's as if it doesn't matter at all. "Let's eat first." Jonathan changed the subject and brought out a bowl of fish soup from the kitchen. The first bowl was served to Gloria. "Drink some soup to warm yourself up. Don't you love fish soup the most?" Gloria looked at the milky white soup in the bowl, the fish tender and the broth delicious. It was Jonathan's best dish. But a bitter feeling rose in Gloria's heart. The one who loves fish soup is Katerina. Jonathan's movement paused slightly. Then he casually said, "You are sisters. Your preferences should be similar." Gloria's self-deprecating smile. Her preferences are completely different from Katerina's, but Jonathan only remembers Katerina. His mind, which usually only retains experimental data, has specifically made room to remember everything about Katerina. This time Gloria said with her head down, "I hate drinking fish soup the most. I hate the fishy smell in fish soup. It's unpleasant and disgusting. Drinking a sip feels like drinking slop." Jonathan did not stop his movements, but calmly said, "Eating fish is good for the heart." Gloria gripped the spoon tighter. It turned out this was what he cared about. Gloria said nothing more, steeling herself to drink a bowl of fish soup before turning and going to her room. After 8 years of marriage, she and Jonathan have been sleeping in separate rooms. Because Jonathan said he had light sleep, she voluntarily went to sleep in the guest room, and it has been 8 years. Actually, it's just that I don't want to share a bed with her. But at this point, Gloria doesn't care anymore. The next morning, Gloria woke up feeling groggy. Not knowing what time it was, there was a loud knocking sound coming from outside. "Mom, bad mom, why haven't you gotten up to make me breakfast yet?" Gloria felt extremely heavy, forcing herself to get up, only to realize it was already 8 o'clock. Lucas goes to school at 7:30, and she used to get up before 6 to prepare breakfast and the things he needed for school. She opened the door. Lucas kicked her on the calf. The 7-year-old boy was already quite strong. Gloria stepped back in pain, barely holding onto the door frame to avoid falling. "Where's your dad?" The living room was empty, and there was no one in the room. Lucas said matter-of-factly, "Dad has to work. He's very busy. You stay at home all day, doing nothing, even avoiding getting up to make breakfast for me." Jonathan was indeed very busy. As the top heart surgeon at City's leading hospital, he worked tirelessly, completely neglecting his children and family. When she was young, Lucas fell ill. She took the child to register alone, running up and down, sweating profusely, and in the end, Lucas recovered, but she herself fell ill. Upon hearing this, Jonathan merely coldly said, "Next time something like this happens, remember to call the nanny." The word nanny was said so lightly. He had never taken care of a child, so he naturally didn't understand how worried a mother could be when her child was sick. The nanny could only handle the errands, but how could she trust the nanny to provide the companionship and care that the child needed? These Jonathan doesn't understand at all, only blaming her for not working hard enough. And now, Lucas feels the same way. Aunt Katerina is right. You are just a lazy bum, definitely not a good mother. Children's words can be the most hurtful. Gloria looked at him. This son she had carried for 10 months. Clearly, she had raised him single-handedly. When he was young, he would hug her neck and solemnly promise to protect her when he grew up. How did it come to this? Gloria grimaced. "Lucas, can't you see that I'm sick?" Lucas only then realized that her complexion was not good. He frowned, his gaze as cold as Jonathan's, showing no concern, only displeasure. "So stupid. How could you get sick at this time? A person who can't even manage their health doesn't deserve to be my mother." After saying that, Lucas left with his backpack. Gloria stood at the door, feeling dizzy, slowly leaning against the door frame and squatting down. The door slammed shut. Gloria clutched her chest, bitterly thinking, "Soon, I will no longer be your mother." Chapter 3. Swallowing 2 cold medicine pills. Gloria put on a mask and went out. December's winter is really cold. After taking a taxi to the company building, the team members had been waiting for her for a long time. "Miss Liu, you've finally arrived. The final design for this Liu collection hasn't been decided yet. We're waiting for your approval." Gloria received the design drawings handed over by her assistant. She was an art student, and after graduating, she joined a clothing company as a designer. A few years later, she started her own clothing brand. Although it can't be considered a big company, it is the culmination of all her hard work, and she places particular importance on the quality of the design drafts. However, this time the submitted manuscript has several very poor pages. Gloria furrowed her brow. How could the company hire interns of this level? The assistant's expression was awkward. Stammering, "This is your sister's work, Katerina." No wonder. 3 months ago, Katerina divorced and returned to the country with her daughter. Because she couldn't find a suitable job, her parents asked her to leave a director position for Katerina at the company. Katerina's level, let alone a director, doesn't even meet the standard for an intern. So she naturally refused, but couldn't withstand the family's repeated coercion and persuasion, even causing a scene at the company. In the end, Gloria had no choice but to arrange a designer position for her. Who knew she would submit something like this? "Remove all of these," Gloria instructed her assistant. "From now on, whatever she submits, just do a superficial job on it, and don't bring it to me." She found it hard to look at. Then she took out the design draft she had revised during this time from her bag, saying, "Take this, discuss it with a few designers, and see if it's enough for the final piece." The assistant's eyes lit up at once. "Miss Liu, you are too modest. This will definitely work. Everyone can see your level of skill." Gloria only thought she was buttering up, then turned to handle the remaining work. After her death, the system would provide her with a new body, but this company would probably be unable to continue operating. After all these years of hard work, Gloria was ready to hand it over to her best friend. But before that, she wanted to complete the upcoming spring collection and stand her post for the last time. Busy until 2 in the afternoon, her stomach growled, and she finally remembered she hadn't eaten all day. Just as she was about to go down for a meal, the office door was pushed open. It is the weary Lou father. Seeing Gloria, his gaze sharp, "So you are indeed here." After saying that, he took a few steps forward and succinctly gave the order, "Come with me to the hospital." Gloria did not move. The person in front of her was her biological father, who had also been the one to drive her out of the Lou family. Both she and Katerina were daughters of the Lou family, but their parents only cared for Katerina. In their hearts, Katerina was the obedient and sensible daughter, while Gloria was seen as the cunning and treacherous villain. So when Katerina accused her of stealing, no matter how she argued, it was all in vain. Even if Katerina set her up, ruining her reputation and even implicating the Lou family, they never suspected Katerina and placed all the blame on her. At that time, he personally stepped forward, announcing in front of countless media cameras, "My Lou family has only one daughter, and that is Katerina. Gloria has been expelled from the Lou family, and all her words and actions have nothing to do with the Lou family." Everyone laughed at her as a pitiful creature abandoned by her family. Now, he appeared before her again. "Katerina's condition has worsened. You need to give her a blood transfusion." The office was as quiet as death. Gloria really wanted to ask how, after 7 years, he could stand here so confidently and say those words. What does her life or death have to do with me? Lou's father looked pale with anger. "She is your biological sister." Gloria forced a smile. "Father, have you forgotten? 7 years ago, you already drove me out of the Lou family. I have long had no relatives, nor do I have a sister." Lou father's face stiffened. Words spoken years ago ultimately became a boomerang, striking him in return. The once proud man lowered his head and pleaded. "The doctor said Katerina's heart function is very poor, and she also has anemia. Only a blood transfusion can sustain her. We haven't found a heart source yet. You must come back with me to donate blood." Gloria looked at him like this, feeling an even deeper bitterness in her heart. She had never seen Lou father plead for anyone like this. Katerina was truly the one he cherished the most. And who else could it be? Jonathan, Lucas. Didn't they also regard Katerina as a faith? Thinking of this, Gloria's eyes became a bit wet. "All right, I agree, but I have a condition. I want to return to the Lou family, and I want all the shares of the Lou family in Katerina's hands." Lou father's gaze turned cold. "Gloria, don't push your luck. This is the condition. If you don't agree, then please feel free." After a long while, Lou father compromised. Gloria was roughly pulled into the car. Her body, starved for a day, felt dizzy and heavily bumped against the seat. Lou father ignored her, speeding all the way to the hospital and dragging her to the blood draw room door. Seeing her pale face, the nurse kindly asked, "Is it low blood sugar? Do you need to rest for a moment and eat something?" Lou father, irritated, urged, "Hurry up." This private hospital was funded by Lou father, and his words here are like a decree. The nurse, frightened and not daring to delay, quickly prepared the blood draw tools. As the needle pierced her skin, Gloria felt a wave of dizziness, with a severe cold and a day of fasting leading to low blood sugar. After only half the blood was drawn, she felt her breathing becoming increasingly difficult, her head uncontrollably tilting to one side. The nurse was terrified and cried, "We can't draw anymore. It will cause problems." Lou's face was extremely grim. He was also afraid that something would really go wrong. It wasn't that he was afraid Gloria would die, but rather that without her, Katerina would have no blood to use. "All right, let's use these for now." Gloria was helped into the. She has completely lost consciousness, and in her dazed state, she doesn't know how long it has been. A woman rushed in, slapping her hard across the face, crying out in heart-wrenching anguish, "It's all your fault. What are you pretending to be weak for? What good is that little bit of blood?" Gloria awoke in pain. Seeing her mother with a swollen face from crying, she grabbed Gloria's clothes and pounded her fists. Why did I even have you two? If only Katerina had been the only one. You're a death bringer. Even in the womb, you stole Katerina's nutrition, causing her to be born with heart disease. Now we need a bit of your blood. You're just here putting on a show for everyone. Do you really want your sister to die? Her words pierced the heart, utterly harsh. Gloria, who had never shed a tear, felt cold liquid streaming from her eyes. She has heard this countless times from childhood to adulthood. Just because she is a twin with Katerina, and just because Katerina's heart did not develop properly. So everything is her fault. She took away Katerina's resources for survival. No one in the family loves him. Her husband and son hate her. And she was born with original sin. Chapter 4. Gloria could not resist Lu Mother's beating until a hand picked her up. Lu Mother was finally stopped by Lu Father. When Lu Father saw Jonathan, he was also quite surprised. What brings you here? Jonathan simply said, I heard people say Katerina is in bad condition. So I came to check on her. Don't worry too much. I've already found Katerina's heart source. She will recover soon. The mother of Lu, who had just been crying, suddenly fell silent. Really? Where did the heart source come from? Is Katerina really saved? Jonathan affirmed again, I have some other resources, and I will personally perform the surgery. Katerina will definitely be discharged safely. Hearing the words personally perform the surgery, Gloria's body trembled. Then she let out a bitter laugh, as if it were not unexpected. After Lu's mother left, Jonathan felt the burning warmth in his arms and carried her to the sick room. Then, he thoughtfully prepared a blanket and hot water. Lying on the hospital bed, Jonathan measured his temperature with a thermometer, frowning when he saw the 41 degrees on it. Why didn't you call me when you had a fever? Gloria curled up. Sarcastically, Jonathan the director is so smart. A skilled healer. He probably didn't think that staying in a corridor below 5 degrees for 3 hours would make someone sick. He just doesn't care. He doesn't care about her. So he won't care about her health. The only thing he cared about, from beginning to end, was the heart beating inside his own body. Jonathan paused for a moment, then seemingly filled with guilt, said, I'm sorry. The voice was very low. Gloria could only take it as an auditory hallucination. By the bedside, Jonathan sat down, took Gloria's burning hand, and whispered, I'm sorry. I promise you, after this, I will definitely live well with you. Whatever conditions you want, I will meet them. I will love you well. Gloria, however, did not look at him and silently withdrew her hand. After hanging the four for a whole night, the next day Gloria finally showed some improvement. Jonathan didn't return to the hospital where he worked, but stayed here, bringing over a few pills. The medicine is very bitter. Gloria furrowed her brows as she ate, while Jonathan served a glass of orange juice. How long will it take for my illness to get better? Jonathan answered, generally speaking, a common cold can recover in 7 days. Your fever is a bit severe, so it might take around 10 days. Does that delay my heart transplant for Katerina? She said this so casually, as if she were mentioning something trivial. Jonathan looked at her with a complicated expression, suddenly feeling that he couldn't understand her. He did not respond immediately. Gloria continued, not recovering from a cold shouldn't affect anything, right? Anyway, after the heart is taken out, I won't be able to live. Does it matter more than a cold? These words were too cruel. Gloria said them with an unsettling calm, like a blade of indifference. Jonathan, for some reason, felt very uncomfortable and insisted, I will make sure you go into surgery healthy. Go in healthy, and then come out lifeless? Gloria did not understand the significance of his insistence. Outside the sick room, Lu's father came in holding a share transfer agreement. The document with a cover was heavily slammed onto her face. Lu's father's voice was cold, as you wished. All the shares in Katerina's hands now belong to you. In this, half belongs to myself, and half belongs to Katerina, adding up to 20%. That's enough to secure a seat on the board. Gloria was very satisfied and signed her name on it. Then, after everyone had left, she called her lawyer, I want to entrust you with the estate. The lawyer came along with her best friend Alicia. Seeing Gloria lying pale on the bed, emaciated, tears immediately fell from Alicia. Bastards. They are truly a bunch of bastards. How could they do this to you? I'm going to confront them. Gloria blocked her. During her pursuit of Jonathan, she didn't encounter many good people, but this lifetime's best friend Alicia was an unexpected surprise. She always stood firmly on Gloria's side, no matter what Gloria faced. She was the first to lend a helping hand. Without her, Gloria probably wouldn't have made it to today. Alicia is also the second person, besides Jonathan, who knows she has a system. At this point, she revealed to Alicia that she was preparing to change her task partner. So, you can finally get rid of Jonathan, that scumbag? Gloria nodded. Alicia stood up happily, saying, "That's great. The system has finally done something right. You should have dumped Jonathan, that bastard, earlier. Let him suffer." Gloria was amused by her. Looking at the lawyer, "I want to give all my shares in Lou Corporation, as well as the company, to my best friend Alicia, and donate some cash to the children in the mountains." The lawyer was not surprised after hearing this, but still followed the procedure to ask, "What about your family? Not a penny for them." Alicia teared up after hearing this. "I'm just temporarily holding on to it for you. When you come back with a new identity, I'll return everything to you. You must come back." Gloria nodded, reaching out to wipe her tears. Outside the door, Jonathan walked in. "What brings you back?" His gaze was very vigilant. Gloria was unsure how much he had heard, and quickly explained, "I told Alicia that once I recover, I want to travel abroad for a while. She couldn't bear to let me go and asked me to bring her something when I return." Jonathan listened without much expression, just looking suspicious for a moment before returning to his usual demeanor. "Remember to go for the checkup later." Gloria let out a sigh of relief. Jonathan took her personally for the checkup. Gloria knew that this checkup was to see if her heart met the requirements for donation. As she came out of the examination room, she happened to bump into Katerina. She sat in a wheelchair, her thin frame barely concealed beneath the flimsy hospital gown. Her long hair hung down, giving her a sickly pale beauty. Just sitting there made one feel a pang of heartache. "Sister, I heard from my brother-in-law that they found the heart source for me." Katerina suddenly spoke up. "Aren't you happy for me too?" Gloria looked into those black eyes. So bright, so innocent, yet beneath them lay such deep malice. Does she really know nothing at all? "Happy," Gloria smiled. With a hint of sincerity, "I am very happy." Not seeing the expected outburst, Katerina felt somewhat dissatisfied, casually raising her hand to tuck her hair behind her ear. "That's great. I thought you had a bias against me all along. I even thought that my sister didn't want me to have the surgery." On those hands, the women's ring on the ring finger was particularly conspicuous. What Jonathan had on his hand was a matching pair. Gloria pretended not to see, her gaze fixed on it, and Katerina quickly took it off, saying, "I'm sorry. This is a gift from my brother-in-law when I returned home. It doesn't mean anything else. I originally wore it on my middle finger, but when I got sick and my hand swelled, I could only wear it on my ring finger. Sister, don't blame me." Chapter 5. Saying this, Katerina unexpectedly started to cry. Jonathan came out of the examination room and saw such a scene. He hurried over, pulling Katerina behind him, and shouted at Gloria, "What have you done to Katerina? She is a patient now. Why are you making things difficult for her?" Gloria looked at him, whose emotions were so volatile, and smiled self-deprecatingly. It turns out that even the calmest and most rational person can lose control at times. Just because of Katerina's few drops of tears, he didn't even ask about the cause and effect clearly. Instinctively, he placed himself in the position of the perpetrator. This is her husband, the person she once had a deep infatuation with. Her heart felt like it was being tightly gripped by something. Unable to breathe, Katerina was still crying, "Brother-in-law, please don't be angry. Sister didn't do anything. She just said a few words about the ring on my hand. Please don't blame her for this." Jonathan's expression darkened further. "The date for the transplant has already been set. Your little schemes behind the scenes are useless. I won't let anything affect Katerina's operation." He thought that Gloria didn't want to donate her heart. so she deliberately provoked Katerina's condition. But Gloria didn't explain anything. Anyway, explanations wouldn't help. Nothing else would get through Jonathan's ears. She simply turned around silently and returned to the sick room, closing the door. Now the only thing accompanying her is her design draft. She loved to draw and design. Her biggest wish over the years was for her designed clothing to walk the runway once. Fortunately, she received an invitation to next year's show. Unfortunately, she probably won't make it to next year, so she wanted to finish the design draft before the surgery. At least it would fulfill her wish. Amidst the scribbles and corrections, the medication took effect, and Gloria felt a bit drowsy. She casually placed the sketchbook by the bedside and fell into a deep sleep. When she woke up again, she heard rustling sounds by her ear and saw a little girl scribbling on her design draft with a pencil. The design draft that had been carefully drawn was now completely unrecognizable. Gloria immediately sat up, grabbed the little girl's hand, and scolded. "What are you doing?" The little girl was startled and looked up. It is a face that is 7 parts similar to Katerina. She is Katerina's daughter, Roma. "You wicked woman. You made my mother cry. I will punish you for my mother." "Wicked woman!" Roma shouted through her tears, her sharp voice like nails scraping against glass. Gloria watched all her hard work destroyed, blood rushing to her head, not caring about any child. "Who told you to touch my sketchbook? Didn't your parents teach you that you shouldn't mess with other people's things?" Roma cried even louder, shouting, "Help! The wicked woman wants to hit me. Help! Uncle Jonathan! Help! Grandpa! Help!" In no time, Father Lou and Jonathan rushed in together, pushing Gloria aside. The two of them were very strong, and Gloria was heavily slammed against the headboard, her head throbbing with pain, and her vision going dark. Seeing Roma with tears streaming down her face and her wrist red from being pulled, Lucas also turned and punched Gloria twice. "Bad mommy. Why did you hurt Roma?" Roma cried uncontrollably. Feeling wronged as she said, "Roma saw this auntie sleeping, so I wanted to cover her with a blanket. Roma didn't know what I did to upset her, and she just wanted to hit Roma. Roma, I'm so scared. Roma, I almost got killed." Hearing this, Lou's father was furious. "Gloria, do you have no sense of propriety? How could you lay hands on a child?" Gloria said nothing. She lowered her head and touched her hairline, finding sticky traces of blood. Lou's father completely failed to notice, angrily grabbing her hair. "Is this the family education I taught you? Why would you lay hands on a child?" Gloria's face turned pale from the pain. She was forced to tilt her head back. "Dad, if I say I didn't do it, would you believe me? Do you all believe me?" Chapter 6. Jonathan's voice was cold. "Gloria, don't lie all day long. We all see through it." The wisteria seemed to be a reminder that this was not the time to be stubborn, but to sincerely apologize. Gloria let out a low laugh. She looked at the child who was crying while sneaking glances over here. "All right. Then I admit I hit her. Anyway, no one would believe her." Lou was furious and suddenly raised his hand. Jonathan quickly stopped him. Gloria knew he was just worried about the heart being damaged. Once the date for the surgery was set, she could not afford any mistakes. Jonathan pushed the enraged Lou out of the room, leaving only him, Lucas, and Gloria inside. Jonathan said coldly, "It's just a few pieces of paper. Why are you so out of line? Is it really that important?" Gloria shuddered. Just a few pieces of paper? That was her work, her passion, the thing she loved. In Jonathan's mouth, it was merely a few pieces of paper. Gloria found it suddenly laughable. As she laughed, tears streamed down her face, realizing that in the eyes of these people, she held such an insignificant place. Gloria clutched her chest, feeling a genuine and piercing pain. It turns out that being heartbroken to the extreme truly causes real heartache. Jonathan, noticing this, his expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly supported her, saying, "What's wrong? Don't get worked up. Take a deep breath. It's just a small matter. We can just not mention it. Take a deep breath. I told you to take a deep breath." Gloria could no longer bear it, forcefully pushing him away and scolding, "Get lost!" She smashed everything around her to the ground. "Everyone get lost!" Jonathan dared not provoke her further and turned to leave. She just looked very pale. That night, her emotions calmed down slightly. Jonathan brought the notice. The surgery is scheduled for 10 days later. Gloria had no reaction. Jonathan continued. I originally wanted to wait until you recovered. But you are too uncooperative. If this continues, it will only become more unstable. 10 days later is the best date. Gloria still just nodded calmly. As if accepting everything, Jonathan looked somewhat relieved, and after a moment of silence, said, I will personally perform the surgery. After the anesthesia is injected, you won't feel any pain. Gloria could hear the rare concern in his tone. She looked up, revealing a weak and pale face. Should I still thank you? Jonathan was at a loss for words. Gloria had become very thin, her cheeks sunken, and her lips pale. She lay in bed, with a grayish look in her eyes, holding on to the last bit of unwillingness. Jonathan, have you ever thought about what if I really die after the surgery? Jonathan was taken aback. He froze in place, feeling panic for the first time. But soon, Jonathan calmed down again and rationally said, the facts have proven that until the task is completed, you won't really die. So there's no need to say such things to deceive me. The hint of unwillingness in Gloria's eyes completely faded, slowly dimming. This is her last effort. Jonathan, there is no fool in this world who knowingly has their heart trampled yet still foolishly offers it up. At least she is not. From now on, Gloria will completely disappear from your life. In the sick room, there was a silent stillness. Jonathan looked at the tears in the corners of her eyes, and a dense pain unexpectedly grew in his heart. But soon, this pain was suppressed again. Reason told him it was only temporary. Once the surgery is over, everything will pass, and he will compensate Gloria well. They will be the same as before, and Gloria will return to his side. She will be revived, and there will still be a chance. Chapter 7. After that, Gloria began to speak less and less. Every day was either sketching or staring blankly out the window. In the last 10 days, she merely counted the days. Having lost all attachment to everything before her, Jonathan abandoned all his work to stay in the hospital, taking Gloria up and down for examinations, blood draws, taking medicine. The needle pierced her arm without a bit of good flesh, and Gloria didn't utter a word. The endless silence made him even more anxious. Passing by Katerina in the sick room, Lou's father's expression was complicated as he pressed. What exactly are you doing? Does a cold require so many tests? Are you deliberately putting on a show for all of us, hoping to gain our sympathy? Gloria offered no explanation. Her complexion had grown increasingly pale these days, and she had lost a significant amount of weight. Her gaze never turned towards him. Lou's father felt a surge of inexplicable anger. You have always been different from your sister since childhood. Deep in thought and cunning, doing these things will only make us hate you more. You should know better and leave the hospital early. Disappearing from our sight. As he spoke, Lou's father harshly slapped Gloria. Gloria, her already slender body, could not stand steady, staggering and falling, scattering the report forms all over the ground. Lou's father was startled. What are you pretending? I just pushed you lightly, and now you want to frame your own father? Gloria without explanation. She gritted her teeth to endure the pain and lowered her head to pick up the scattered papers. Inside are all her various examination reports. Lou's father glanced at it and casually picked up a sheet. Why are you doing a heart ultrasound so well? Then he was about to look at other lists. Katerina's voice came from behind. Dad. She pushed the wheelchair, her face very pale, and grabbed Lou's father's sleeve. Dad, please don't be angry with my sister. She just wants you to care about her more. You've accompanied me for so long. It's normal for my sister to feel jealous. Please go accompany her. I'm fine. As she spoke, Katerina weakly covered her chest and began to gasp. Seeing this, Lou's father immediately dropped the checklist in his hand. Silly child, you're like this. And she, as your sister, isn't thinking of helping but is pretending to be sick to compete for attention. Why speak up for her? If it weren't for her, would you have been born with this illness? A picture of filial piety. What a beautiful scene. Gloria's heart has long since gone numb. Behind her, Jonathan came out of the report room. his face changing dramatically at the sight. He quickly stepped forward, picked up the report form, and without saying a word, dragged Gloria back to the sick room. As soon as they entered, Gloria was thrown heavily onto the bed. A stack of report forms was tossed over. Jonathan's voice was heavy. Was it intentional? Gloria's face turned pale. The side of her waist had just been slammed hard against the bed's edge, causing her to break out in a cold sweat and unable to speak. Jonathan continued, "Did you deliberately drop the examination report in front of Katerina, hoping she would see the contents and feel guilty, thus refusing the surgery? Gloria, what a venomous thought you have." The cold words fell like a heavy hammer on the heart. Gloria clutched her side, lowering her head with a sorrowful smile. "If you say so, then it must be true." It didn't matter what she said. Whenever it came to Katerina, Jonathan would lose all reason. Her family, lover, and even son only believe in Katerina. No matter how much she explains, it is all in vain. Returning to bed in silence, Gloria asked, "Do you have anything else to say?" Jonathan was silent for a moment. Then his gaze fell on the bedside table. On the sketchbook that had been destroyed by Roma, Katerina has one last wish before the surgery: to appear on the runway as a designer. Aren't you going to participate in next year's show? Why not give your spot to Katerina? Chapter 8. Gloria looked up in surprise. "You know this has been my dream too. How long have I worked for this? Now you want me to give my spot to her? Why should I? I cannot agree to that." Jonathan furrowed his brow again. "It's just one spot. What's the big deal? Katerina is different from you. She is afraid of surgery and just wants to fulfill a small wish before getting on the operating table. As her sister, can't you even satisfy this?" Gloria's eyes were red. How could he speak so lightly about it? It felt as if everything she had given was unimportant. As long as Katerina wanted it, everything had to be given up. I have already promised her the heart. Now she even wants to take away my blood, too. Gloria's eyes were red. Jonathan's heart trembled. Outside the door, the sound of Katerina's choked sobs came. "If you don't agree to my request, I won't undergo the surgery. Surgery is so dangerous. What if I don't come back after being on the operating table? I just want to fulfill a small wish. And if you can't satisfy that, I might as well just die." Lou's father quickly shook his head after hearing this. "Silly child. How can you say such things? I promise you. I promise you." After saying this, Lou's father strode up to Gloria and ordered, "This time, let your sister have the spot." His tone was completely not up for discussion. Gloria was unwilling to concede. "The person invited by the organizers is me. That is my hard work." Lou's father's face suddenly darkened. He shouted loudly, "Katerina is your sister. Can you stop being so selfish? Do you want to deliberately drive your sister to death just to feel happy?" Gloria had red eyes, stubbornly refusing to compromise. "Okay, okay." Lou's father repeatedly said several okays, and finally took out his phone, saying in front of Gloria, "So you're not listening, huh? You can forget about that broken company of yours. Do you believe I can have someone acquire your company right now? Isn't it about the effort you put in? Think carefully. What's more important, the company or a single spot?" Gloria shuddered, looking at him in disbelief. This is his father. He used her soft spot to hurt her time and again, forcing her to compromise. Gloria clenched her fists tightly. She knew that once Lou said it, he could truly make it happen. Jonathan also urged her from the side, "There will be more spots next time. Just let Katerina have this one. Don't be stubborn." Gloria was in tears, yet suddenly smiled. She looked at the people before her, all of whom were her closest ones: husband, relatives, children, all supporting Katerina. "All right, I will let it go." Gloria finished speaking and looked at the crowd. "Are you satisfied now?" Everyone let out a sigh of relief and turned to look at Katerina. Only Gloria, with her head tilted back and eyes closed, continued to let tears fall uncontrollably. The light in her eyes dimmed little by little, eventually fading completely. At nightfall, Jonathan brought back a bowl of porridge. It was her favorite seafood porridge, rich in aroma, but Gloria had no appetite at all, just lying there numbly in bed. In the trash can were the sketches she had discarded herself. Jonathan personally brought the porridge to her lips. But Gloria still did not respond, merely turning her head away coldly. After a long silence, Jonathan put down the porridge. Then you eat it yourself. The sick room fell silent once more. Gloria looked at the porridge on the table and tossed it directly into the trash can. The next day, she saw Katerina waiting for her in the hallway, her eyes filled with triumph. Sister, what good is your talent if the opportunity ultimately belongs to me? Chapter 9. No matter how hard you try, it's all in vain as long as I want it. My parents, even Jonathan Gu, will bring it to me. This kind of treatment, sister has never enjoyed, right? Katerina said, suddenly laughing with a chilling malice. I wonder if after my surgery, sister will still have the chance to see me on stage. That gaze clearly understood everything. She knows everything. Gloria coldly looked at her and said, even if you get on stage, with your level, you'll only become a joke. Katerina's expression instantly darkened. With no one around, her expression showed no pretense as she sneered. Instead of worrying about me, you should focus on your good friend. I hear they're in trouble right now. Gloria turned pale. What do you mean? Katerina pretended to be innocent. You still don't know, right? Your good friend Alicia came to me with her sarcasm. I just told Dad that I didn't like him, and it seems like Dad specifically sent someone to deal with her. Although it's a bit difficult. You know Dad's methods. He can easily pin some tax crime on her. If she doesn't spend 10 or 8 years in prison, she won't be getting out. Gloria couldn't hold back any longer and slapped her across the face. Crazy! If you have a problem with me, why target my friend? Katerina smiled indifferently. Why do you care about her? You have nothing left for me to target. So I can only make things difficult for her. You can only blame yourself. You harmed your good friend. What does that have to do with me? Katerina smiled with an innocent face, but behind it was a chilling cruelty. Gloria raised her hand, but before it could fall, she was pushed away forcefully. Jonathan arrived, angrily shielding Katerina behind him. What are you doing? He glared at Gloria, his eyes filled with rage. What have you done to Katerina? Are you going to lay your hands on her again? In the blink of an eye, Katerina became choked up, crying uncontrollably. Brother Jonathan, it's not my sister's fault. It was my careless words that offended her. It's okay for my sister to vent her anger on me. It doesn't hurt. Katerina suddenly pretended to have difficulty breathing, as if she were in unbearable pain. Jonathan's expression grew even darker. Gloria, are you crazy? Why did you lay hands on Katerina? Look at how you've upset her. But Gloria was completely uninterested in him. She only had one thought in her mind, which was to call her best friend in advance and warn her to be on guard. However, as she just took out her phone, it was knocked out of her hand by Jonathan, who exclaimed, "Do you even have a heart? At a time like this, you're still thinking about playing with your phone." Katerina's illness can't handle any stress. The phone fell to the ground, and the screen shattered instantly into pieces. Gloria picked it up to check and found that it was completely dead, unable to power on again. Jonathan ignored her actions, grabbing Gloria's hand tightly and saying loudly, "Katerina's condition has worsened. We must start the surgery immediately." Gloria then realized that Katerina was clutching her chest and gasping for breath. She put on a pained expression, gripping Jonathan's clothing tightly, but her eyes were filled with a triumphant challenge directed at Gloria. It's obvious that it's a facade. Gloria shook him off and prepared to go to the nurse's station to borrow a phone, but Jonathan gripped tightly. His strength was immense, leaving Gloria no chance to resist. "Do you want to back out? There's no need to wait any longer. The surgery must happen immediately." Gloria was dragged toward the operating room. She could only plead with Jonathan. "I won't back out. Just let me make a phone call first. It's urgent." Jonathan completely ignored her, thinking she was just stalling for time. Gloria was helplessly pinned to the operating table, several people restraining her. Desperate tears fell as she pleaded, "Jonathan, I beg you, just let me make a phone call. Just one call, please." Jonathan coldly replied, "Administer anesthesia." The cold liquid was injected into her body, and Gloria knew she had no chance left. Her eyelids grew heavier. and the world around her faded to black. In the last second before losing consciousness, Gloria looked at the man before her, tears sliding down her cheeks. "Jonathan, I hate you." In the darkness, a cold mechanical voice echoed in her mind, regrettably. Affection level insufficient. Host's third task failed. According to the host's wishes, we have selected a new task for you and are searching for a suitable moment for rebirth. Chapter 10. Beep. As the cold alarm of the electrocardiogram sounded, the nurse's voice rang out, "Dr. Jonathan, the heart has been successfully removed." Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, but only Jonathan's hand suddenly trembled. Engulfed by a sense of overwhelming panic, he instinctively looked at the person on the operating table. Gloria lay there peacefully, her face serene, devoid of any breath. It was he who personally removed her heart. Jonathan suddenly felt a bit dazed until he was nudged by someone beside him. "Jonathan, isn't it time to transplant the patient now?" Only then did he come to his senses. Yes, Katerina is saved. Isn't this what he had always wanted? After 6 hours of surgery, Jonathan walked out of the operating room. Lou father and Lou mother were anxiously waiting outside, and even Lucas and Roma had come, all concerned about how Katerina was doing. "The surgery was very successful," Jonathan said. Lou father and Lou mother were instantly overjoyed to the point of tears, and Lucas and Roma also jumped up in excitement. No one cares about Gloria's whereabouts. In the operating room, Katerina was pushed out, while Lou's mother followed the nurse to the sick room, and Lou's father stayed behind to thank Jonathan. His eyes filled with tears as he held Jonathan's hand. "Jonathan, you are a good son-in-law. If it weren't for you finding the heart source and personally performing the surgery on Katerina, her operation probably wouldn't have gone so smoothly. If I had known back then, I should have let Katerina marry you. Actually, she had feelings for you back then." Halfway through, Lou's father sighed again. "Forget it. Let's not talk about it. Can you tell Uncle who donated this heart source? He wants to properly thank their family." As the words fell, the operating room behind opened. The nurse pushed out Gloria covered with a white cloth. As they passed by, a corner of the white cloth was lifted by the wind from the window, revealing a hand with a birthmark. Lou father was stunned. "What is this?" He recognized the birthmark. It was on Gloria, and he instinctively chased after. Seeing this, Jonathan quickly blocked him. Obstructing Lou father's view, organ donation cannot be disclosed to each other. "It's a rule, Uncle, so please don't inquire." Lou father saw this and thought little of it. That birthmark might just be a coincidence. In the corridor, Jonathan took over the nurse's duties and personally pushed Gloria to the mortuary. In the cold mortuary, he lifted the white cloth and looked at Gloria, whose face was pale, a gruesome wound on her chest, even though he knew this wasn't true death. Seeing Gloria lying coldly in the mortuary still made Jonathan's heart ache as if he had truly lost her. A sense of belated pain spread through him. Jonathan held her hand, speaking as if to comfort himself. "It's okay. You will come back. You love me so much. You will definitely come back. Even if you don't want to come back, the system won't let you leave me until the task is completed." Jonathan lowered his head, resting his forehead against Gloria's cold forehead, whispering a promise. "When you come back, we will live well together, okay?" If it were the old Gloria, she would definitely gently stroke his brow and say it's all right. But now, all that responds to him is endless silence. According to Jonathan's experience, Gloria usually returns within 3 days. She will take on another body and live under a different identity. And Jonathan is confident that no matter what Gloria becomes or what identity she takes on, as long as he appears beside him, he will definitely recognize him. Chapter 11. Coming out of the mortuary, Jonathan saw Lucas. He stood at the door, looking inside, his expression somewhat unnatural. "Is Mom dead?" Jonathan only said, "She will be back in a few days." Lucas said nothing, walked into the mortuary, and lifted the white cloth covering it. Even though he was prepared, his face still turned a few shades pale. His eyes suddenly reddened, and without saying a word, he turned and ran away. In Katerina's room, her anesthesia gradually wore off. She touched the area over her heart, her expression somewhat confused. "Will I be just like a normal person from now on?" Jonathan nodded. Katerina immediately shed tears of gratitude. Looking at Lou father, Lou mother, dad, mom, brother Jonathan. Thanks to all of you. The room was filled with a happy atmosphere. Katerina wiped her eyes and suddenly asked, "What about my sister? My illness is cured. My sister will surely be very happy. I want to tell her." Jonathan's expression changed slightly. Lou's father scoffed. "Who knows where she died? Ever since you went into the operating room, she hasn't shown her face again. She clearly doesn't care about you. This sister of yours." A glimmer of understanding flashed in Katerina's eyes, but she still felt uneasy and asked Jonathan, "Brother Jonathan, is sister angry with me?" Jonathan didn't know what to say. No matter how he explained, the fact that Gloria's identity was dead was a done deal. He didn't answer but comforted her. "Just rest well." Then he left the sick room. At night, Lou's father went out to smoke. He saw the nurse tidying up the empty sick room next door. Lou's father couldn't help but ask, "What happened to the person inside?" The nurse shook her head. "I don't know. I'm just here to clean the room." "Are you a family member of the patient? It seems she left a form on the bed. You can take it." As she spoke, the nurse handed over a piece of paper. Lou's father picked it up and took a look. It turned out to be a compatibility test report. The results indicated that Gloria's heart was a perfect match for Katerina. In the cold night, Lou's father's hand trembled slightly as he held the cigarette. "What is this?" The nurse thought he couldn't understand and explained. "It's the matching form. The donor and the recipient are a perfect match." Lou's father's hand began to shake. He incredulously flipped through the form, checking it over and over. The names Gloria and Katerina were written clearly and distinctly on it. In an instant, he recalled all the tests that Gloria had undergone before. He remembered the test results left at the door of the sick room and the body covered with a white cloth outside the operating room. The wind blew the white cloth aside, revealing the birthmark on those hands. So familiar, so well known. Lou's father's hand trembled, and the list fell to the ground. He walked unsteadily, turning his head towards the mortuary, nearly falling along the way. When he pushed open the door to the mortuary, he saw Gloria lying silently on the gurney, and Lou's father's face had completely drained of color, causing him to stagger and fall. The hurried Jonathan caught him, blocking his line of sight, and tried to explain. Lou's father pushed him away and finally broke down, asking, "What is going on?" Jonathan fell silent. Lou's father questioned, "You said you found the heart source, and it's Gloria's? What have you done?" Lou's father collapsed in anger, landing a heavy punch on Jonathan's face. Jonathan said nothing and endured it. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and explained, "Katerina's condition is very bad. The heart source is too hard to wait for. So you just let Gloria die? No matter how bad she is my daughter and your wife." Jonathan looked up at Lou's father. "This is the only way to save Katerina. If it were you making the choice, would you do the same?" Chapter 12. Silence fell within the mortuary. Silence was the best answer. Lou staggered back a few steps, realizing something. Finally, covering his face and crying out, he said to Gloria's corpse, "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry for you." Jonathan said nothing, silently leaning against the wall. After a long while, he finally spoke, "I am the one who wronged her. I have already bought a ticket to leave the country. Once Katerina is discharged, I will take Gloria's ashes and leave this place. You know, she didn't want to see you all." Jonathan finished speaking and turned to leave. After many days, returning to that familiar home, Jonathan still felt a bit dazed. Gloria had lived with him for 8 years, and the house was filled with traces of her. On the wall hung their wedding photo, in which Gloria smiled so happily, so vividly. Jonathan felt a bit uncomfortable and went downstairs to buy something. Passing by the community, the aunt downstairs asked him, "Jonathan, why haven't I seen little Lou lately?" Jonathan didn't know how to respond. She went back to her hometown. "Why did you go back home? Last time she told me that you always stay up late and your health is not good. She asked me to bring you a free-range old hen when I return to the village, to make soup and nourish you. I brought the chicken back. Did she forget about it? No worries. You can take it with you." Jonathan looked at the chicken being handed over, suddenly feeling a mix of emotions. Thank you. Jonathan silently went upstairs. The large house was eerily quiet. He was not a talkative person. He had always been habitually silent at home, but Gloria would chatter away, talking about all sorts of trivial matters around him. Most of the time, he felt annoyed. Now that the sound had disappeared, he realized that silence could also be a form of torment. In a daze, the door opened. Jonathan instinctively stood up. Gloria, you're back. As soon as he spoke, he froze. At the door, Lucas was also stunned, dark-faced as he threw his backpack on the ground and said, "Dad, I'm hungry." Jonathan didn't want to cook, so he took out his phone to order takeout. After taking a bite of the takeout, Lucas threw down his chopsticks and said darkly, "This is disgusting. When is Mom coming back?" Jonathan knew he was picky, but he didn't expect him to be this picky. Frowning, "Let the nanny come over to cook tomorrow. We'll eat this tonight." Lucas didn't move his chopsticks again and turned back to his room. The next day, Lucas woke up late, instinctively shouting, "Mom, you didn't wake me up again." As the words left his mouth, he remembered that Gloria was no longer there. Lucas suddenly fell silent. He took a bite of the buns the nanny made and spat them all out. "I want to eat the food Mom makes. This doesn't taste like the buns Mom makes." The living room fell silent all at once. Jonathan said nothing, and Lucas also realized something, stopping his antics. After a long while, Lucas teared up. "Dad, when will Mom come back? Didn't you say she'd be back in a few days?" "That's right. 3 days." According to Jonathan's experience, Gloria would reappear 3 days later. Chapter 13. Tomorrow marks the 3rd day after the surgery, so they only had to wait 1 more day. Jonathan comforted his son. "It'll be soon." As the day approached, Jonathan felt no joy. Instead, he began to feel anxious. In these 3 days, he clearly sensed the absence of Gloria more than anyone else, and there was nothing he could do. He could only wait passively. Finally, the 3rd day had arrived. He opened his eyes and endured until noon. Jonathan felt no sleepiness and casually threw on a coat before heading out. He had no destination, just hoping to encounter some people, among whom might be Gloria. But from midnight to dawn, Jonathan wandered around his home and the places Gloria usually loved to visit. Yet he did not meet anyone resembling Gloria. The panic in his heart grew stronger. It wasn't like this before. In the previous 2 instances, Gloria quickly returned to his side after changing her identity, and as long as she appeared, no matter what guise she took, Jonathan could recognize her at a glance. The sun has been rising. Jonathan feeling utterly exhausted, he hesitated and went to the hospital. In the hospital, Katerina was recovering very well. Her face began to regain its color, and she could get out of bed and walk. When she saw Jonathan, her eyes were filled with joy. "Brother Jonathan, are you here to see me?" Jonathan absently looked around. There were many people in the hospital, and he was trying to discern which one was Gloria. It wasn't until Katerina pulled him twice that he came to his senses and casually replied a few words. Suddenly, a figure resembling Gloria appeared before him, and Jonathan instinctively stood up. But his sleeve was caught by Katerina. He pouted in grievance. "Brother Jonathan, why are you ignoring me?" Jonathan shook her off violently, shouting loudly, "Gloria!" He rushed over and grabbed the other person's hand. A passerby who was just there to see a doctor was startled and pushed him away. "Who are you?" It felt like a bucket of cold water was poured over me. "It's not Gloria." Jonathan stood there in a daze, watching the figure leave, constantly thinking, where could Gloria be? Why hasn't she shown up? Beside him, Lou hurriedly helped Katerina up, dissatisfied, saying, "Jonathan, what's wrong with you? Katerina just finished her surgery. Do you want to put her in danger?" Katerina immediately said with grievance, "Mom, don't blame Jonathan Gidge. He's just worried about my sister. I don't know where my sister has gone." Lou's face darkened. "Who knows where she went? You're having such a major surgery, and she hasn't shown up. It's better if she just dies outside." As soon as these words were spoken, Jonathan's eyes turned bloodshot. "Shut up." Lou was taken aback. It was the first time she had seen Jonathan like this. "Did I say something wrong? Since Katerina's surgery, Has Gloria even come out to show any concern? She's just a selfish, cold-blooded person. I shouldn't have given birth to her. It's better if she never shows up in this life. Jonathan's expression grew increasingly grim. He clenched his fists and whispered, "It won't happen. She will definitely come back." The dazed look made Lou's mother a bit scared, not understanding what was happening. When he got home, Lucas immediately asked anxiously, "Is Mom back?" Jonathan ignored him and walked straight into the room. When he arrived at Gloria's room, he discovered that the photo that used to be on the bedside was now just an empty frame. The only photo of the two had been torn apart, and the pieces lay in the trash can. It was Gloria who tore it before leaving. Jonathan suddenly shuddered, as if he understood something, crouched down, and tried to piece all the fragments back together with trembling hands. But no matter what, I can't piece together the past. Chapter 14. In the pitch-black night, Jonathan lay on the floor of Gloria's room, and in a daze, he seemed to see Gloria again. In the world after death, the system was playing Jonathan's images in front of Gloria. "Do you want to go back and take a look?" the system asked. Gloria hesitated and appeared beside Jonathan in the form of a soul. As if sensing something, Jonathan looked around. "Gloria, is it you who has returned?" Gloria did not respond. In fact, even if she spoke now, Jonathan would not be able to hear her. She just looked at him in some confusion, not understanding why he reacted so strongly. She thought that after her death, Jonathan would at most feel a bit lost. With Katerina around, he should quickly forget everything and stay by Katerina's side. But in these 3 days, he spent very little time by Katerina's side. The system asked her, "Host, his affection for you has reached 100%. As long as you appear in front of him, you can immediately complete the task. Do you want to change the task objective?" In the darkness, Jonathan whispered, "I regret it." He let out a self-deprecating laugh, his voice breaking. "I regret it. I really regret it. Please come back." The only response to him was silence. After a long time, Gloria finally spoke. Change. She could no longer trust Jonathan anymore. Moreover, the wounds inflicted would not disappear, and the pain in her heart would not fade. What right did Jonathan have to seek forgiveness? As the white light flashed, Gloria knew that she was about to usher in a new life. She closed her eyes without any lingering attachment. It wasn't until the next day that Jonathan got up in a daze. While Lucas sat in the living room with red eyes, "Is Mom not back yet?" No matter how mature he seemed, he was still just a 7-year-old child. From indifference at the beginning, to anger, and then to sadness, Lucas choked and asked, "Does Mom not want me? Not want Dad anymore?" Jonathan's heart felt as if it had been violently wrenched. He whispered, "No, that won't happen." But the voice was so low, so light, so lacking in conviction. Arriving at the hospital, Jonathan once again went to the mortuary, the only thing he could grasp. But upon entering, he found it empty. Jonathan frantically shouted, "Where is everyone? Where did Gloria go?" The young nurse was frightened, trembling as she said, "She has already been taken away by her relatives. They said they were taking her to the funeral home for cremation." Just pulled away. Jonathan suddenly ran out as if he had gone mad. Katerina came over, trying to grab him, but fell down instead. "Jonathan!" Katerina shouted, tears streaming down her face. Jonathan paused for a moment, seeing Katerina on the ground, looking conflicted and in pain. "Jonathan, what's wrong?" Katerina choked out the question. Jonathan hesitated for a long time, but ultimately turned and walked away. When he arrived at the hospital entrance, his best friend was bringing the funeral home staff to load Gloria's body into the car. Jonathan suddenly rushed forward, pushing everyone aside, shouting, "Get away! Who told you to touch her?" Best friend Alicia glared at him with red eyes. "Gloria is dead. Do you still want her to be restless?" Jonathan shuddered. Then he shook his head again. "No, she isn't. She will come back." He didn't know how to bring back Gloria, and could only deceive himself into thinking that keeping her body might lead to a miracle one day. Alicia couldn't help it and slapped him hard. "What right do you have to say such things? Why is Gloria lying here? Isn't it because of you? What are you pretending to be now?" Chapter 15. Alicia's words pierced the heart. Jonathan trembled all over, lowering his head and clenching his fists tightly. He couldn't refute. Behind him, Lou's mother stormed over, questioning, "Jonathan, what on earth is going on? What has my daughter Katerina done to offend you that you keep hurting her?" After saying that, Lou's mother noticed the funeral home vehicle nearby, along with a corpse lying beside it. Since it was already wrapped, Lou's mother didn't know that it was Gloria inside. She just frowned in disdain and continued to ask Jonathan, "I thought you were a good kid, wanting to entrust Katerina to you. You've really disappointed me." Beside her, Alicia sneered, stealing the husband of the eldest daughter for the youngest daughter. "You really are a good mother." There was a heavy irony in those words. Lou's mother's expression changed instantly. I remember now. You are Gloria's friend, right? This is my family's matter. What does it have to do with you? There are still so many days left. Gloria, where on earth have you gone? You don't come out yourself, causing this ruckus. You tell her, if she has the guts, just die out there and never come back for the rest of her life. Alicia's eyes were red with anger. Then she turned to Jonathan, gritting her teeth in mockery. "Looks like you've been hiding things pretty well." Lou's mother didn't understand what this meant. Katerina hurriedly came from behind, grabbing Lou's mother, trying to take her away. "Mom, I'm not feeling well. Please help me go back to rest." Lou's mother immediately had no other thoughts, only wanting to take Katerina away. Alicia blocked him decisively. She stood in front of the two, piercing through Katerina's false facade. "In such a hurry to take your mom away. Are you afraid she'll find out the truth?" Katerina's lips began to turn pale. "What did you say? I don't understand." Lou noticed something was off, but still stood by Katerina, questioning Alicia. "What exactly do you want to say?" Alicia asked with red eyes. "Aren't you curious where the heart inside your daughter came from?" Lou's mother said without thinking, "Of course it was donated by a kind-hearted person." Alicia smiled with anger. "How difficult is it to donate organs? Do I need to remind you? Katerina, after being hospitalized for so long and not getting a heart source, how is it that as soon as Gloria is hospitalized, she has one? Whose heart is she using?" Lou's mother's face paled a few shades, scolding, "What nonsense are you talking about? Even if I no longer like Gloria, how could I possibly dig out her heart? Don't slander me without basis." Alicia looked at Jonathan with tears in her eyes. "If it's slander, ask your good son-in-law." Lou's mother's face grew even paler. She looked at Jonathan, and Jonathan just lowered his head. She looked at Katerina again, and Katerina shook her head desperately, saying she knew nothing. Lou's mother's chest heaved, still arguing, "This is impossible. How could this be? You are talking nonsense." Before the words were finished, Alicia pulled her to the front of the funeral home vehicle. As the zipper of the body bag was opened, Gloria's body was revealed. Lou's father hurried over, but still arrived a moment too late. Lou's mother let out a scream, her body going limp as she stared wide-eyed at the person before her. "Let her go!" Lou's father rushed over, supporting the unsteady Lou's mother, trying to block her line of sight, but it was already too late. Lou's mother's eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at the person before her, her mouth agape. Unable to speak for a long time, she could only feel a tightness in her chest, barely standing with the support of Lou's father, as if something in her mind had snapped, murmuring, "How is this possible? How could it?" Alicia smirked. "Look closely. Katerina's life was exchanged for your other daughter." These words pierced the heart. Lou's mother could no longer bear it, letting out a wail before fainting. Chapter 16. Katerina's expression was not much better than Lou's mother's. Alicia walked up to her, and Katerina was so frightened that she stepped back, finally leaning against the wall, fearfully looking at her. "I don't know. I really don't know anything." Still pretending. Even now, Alicia wished she could tear her face apart, but that would be too easy. She looked at the tearful Katerina and said word by word, "Do you think you've won? Gloria was killed because of you. From now on, your parents, your children, everyone will remember this fact. You will always be a sinner, never able to hold your head high in front of Gloria, and no one will ever unconditionally favor you again." Only then did true fear appear on Katerina's face. Her legs went weak, and she collapsed to the ground. Seeing this, Alicia turned around, pushed Gloria into the car, and then asked the dazed Jonathan, "I found a grave for Gloria. You will never find it, and you should never appear at her grave." Tainting her eyes, Jonathan seemed as if his soul had been ripped away, standing in place in agony. Is she really not coming back? He doesn't believe it. Jonathan looked around, ignoring the strange gazes of those nearby, and shouted loudly, "Don't you have a system? Aren't you supposed to stay until the task is completed?" "Why? System, come out. Why didn't she come back this time?" Passers-by saw him like this and thought he had gone mad. Katerina also looked at him with some fear, cautiously grabbing him. "Jonathan, brother." Jonathan suddenly pushed her away. His eyes were bloodshot, staring at Katerina's chest, where Gloria's heart was beating. Everything is because of Katerina. If it weren't for this surgery, Gloria wouldn't have disappeared. Nothing would have happened. Never before has he regretted like he does now. Katerina was startled and stepped back repeatedly. All she felt was that Jonathan's gaze seemed as if it were trying to dig her heart out. Once again sent back to the sick room, there was not a trace of color on Katerina's face. Lou's mother had awakened but was still somewhat disoriented. When she looked at Katerina on the bed, she suddenly shouted, "Gloria!" Katerina's face suddenly turned very pale. She trembled for a moment and suddenly whispered, "It's all my fault. I harmed my sister. I will return the heart to my sister. I will pay with my life." After saying that, Katerina grabbed the fruit knife from the bedside and aimed it at her own chest. Lou's father quickly stopped her. In the past, the mother who was most pained for her daughter, Lou's mother, only looked at her coldly and said, "Gloria is dead. Who are you putting on this act for?" Katerina shuddered all over. In the past, Lou's mother had never spoken to her like this. Such cold words, when they fell upon her, were unexpectedly harsh. Lou's father also said with red eyes, "This is Gloria's heart. No matter where you hurt, you must not harm this heart." Katerina looked at him in disbelief. The two relatives who once loved her the most had changed their attitudes. She had swapped places with Gloria from before. In panic, Katerina saw Jonathan at the door, tears streaming down her face. "Brother Jonathan, do you blame me too? Do you also think I caused my sister's death? But I know nothing. Why do you blame me?" Katerina cried with immense sorrow and deep grievance. In the past, this room full of people would have rushed to comfort her. But now, no one made a move. Jonathan just looked at her and asked, "Do you really not know?" Chapter 17. Katerina had been completely abandoned by everyone. Lou no longer had the heart to keep Katerina company, wandering in a daze all day, and was sent back home the next day. Lou's father could no longer care for Katerina day and night. Finding an excuse to return to the company, Jonathan's mental state was deteriorating. He did not believe that Gloria was dead. He spent all day thinking of various ways to find Gloria, searching for answers from the system, until his friend couldn't stand it any longer, took him out for drinks to clear his mind. And across the street, they happened to see a girl standing under a street lamp, with bright eyes and white teeth, every move reminiscent of Gloria. Jonathan stood up abruptly, rushing outside without a second thought. Cars sped by on the road, and Jonathan was pulled back by his friend, narrowly escaping disaster. But when he looked across the street again, the figure was already gone. Jonathan grew anxious, disregarding whether what he had just seen was real or an illusion, and dashed across the road in search. At this moment, Gloria has already become Jasmine. She has switched to a younger body and is waiting for a new task target in a cafe. Also, the marriage partner of this body. The system told her that this task is not difficult, considered a compensation. But before she could wait for the other party, a figure suddenly appeared before her, leaving her stunned. Gloria. Jonathan chased all the way to this cafe. Seeing Gloria at the window, all the longing and emotions of the past days surged out as he embraced her. Jasmine felt her whole body stiffen, then quickly reacted and pushed Jonathan away. "I'm sorry. I don't know you." Since she switched bodies, she hadn't seen Jonathan again, nor had she deliberately paid attention to Jonathan's news. so she had no idea that Jonathan had become so down and out. The person who used to be the cleanest, even obsessive about cleanliness, now had a scruffy beard and deep dark circles under his eyes. His eyes were red, and there were even tears shimmering, looking at himself as if he had found a long-lost treasure. Jasmine stepped back in surprise. She never expected that Jonathan would be so lost because of her departure. Shouldn't he be happy? He clearly has the chance to be with Katerina. Jasmine couldn't understand, nor did she want to think too deeply. She quickly regained her expression and calmly said, "Sir, you must have mistaken me for someone else. My last name is Mu, not Liu." Looking at the unfamiliar gaze of the person in front of him, Jonathan was stunned. How is that possible? He wouldn't mistake someone. Just now, through the glass, he saw the person's sitting posture, the way they drank coffee, and even the small gestures were exactly like Gloria. How could it not be Gloria? After a moment of hesitation, Jasmine had already stood up and left her seat. Jonathan hastily chased after her, but he was stopped by a bodyguard who appeared halfway. Jasmine got into a car, her expression still cold and distant. "Sorry, I really don't know you. Please don't come looking for me." After saying that, the car door closed. The world fell silent. Jasmine leaned back in her seat, rubbing her temples. "System, how did he find me?" The system replied, "He has been looking for you during this time, going to various crowded places to increase the chances of reuniting with you. It's just a coincidence." Jasmine was speechless, then sighed. If it were in the past, she would have been overjoyed to know Jonathan cared about her so much. Now, she only felt that belated affection was cheaper than grass. Jonathan, only now do you regret it. It's already too late. Chapter 18. Returning to the Mu family. As soon as Jasmine stepped through the door, she saw Mother Mu rushing over anxiously. "My dear daughter, I heard from the bodyguard that you encountered a lunatic today. Are you all right? Was it scary? Did it hurt you?" Mother Mu looked Jasmine up and down with a concerned expression, and only after confirming that Jasmine was fine did she pat her chest, saying, "You scared me to death. How could you encounter a madman in broad daylight?" Jasmine looked at her mother before her, a warm current rising in her heart. The system indeed provided her with a good family. Her parents loved her very much, and she had 2 brothers who adored her. Even the task object was a childhood friend, and they were also betrothed. Everything was very happy. Recalling the interrupted meeting, Jasmine spoke up, "But I haven't seen Bruno today." Mother Mu quickly said, "No rush. No rush. I am very familiar with Aunt Chi. I directly invited them over for dinner, and you'll be able to see them tonight." Jasmine smirked. In the system, and in Mother Mu's words, Bruno is a decent person. It seems this task isn't too difficult. On the other side, Jonathan returned home dejectedly, mobilizing all resources to search for Jasmine. Soon, Father Liu gave a reply. "Jonathan, this person is Miss Mu family. What do you want with her?" Jonathan looked at the photo of Jasmine, his fingers trembling. "No, she is Gloria." Father Liu was taken aback, thinking that Jonathan had lost his mind. Just as he was about to say something to advise, Jonathan had already left. 3 days later, the charity gala. Jasmine appeared in a mermaid gown as an invited guest. Standing beside was none other than Bruno. The two appeared together at the banquet, and the rumors of a marriage alliance between the Mu and Chi families were subtly confirmed. Everyone's gaze turned towards them, offering praises of a talented man and a beautiful woman. Only in the corner, Jonathan stared at the scene, his fists clenched tightly. He couldn't believe that the person in front of him wasn't Gloria. Downing the drink in his hand, Jonathan walked towards Jasmine. Jasmine just had a few sips of alcohol, her face a bit flushed, and was looking for a quiet place to catch some fresh air. She immediately saw Jonathan. The slight drunkenness in her mind completely cleared, and she stood up straight. Today's Jonathan looked much more presentable than the last few times she had seen him, probably having come prepared. As he approached, he politely said, "Miss Mu." Jasmine politely nodded. Jonathan's gaze remained on her. "Miss Mu looks a lot like someone I know." The evening breeze cleared her mind, and Jasmine asked him, "Who?" "My wife." Jasmine suddenly smiled. "Once upon a time, Jonathan did not love to admit in public that Gloria was his wife, because in his heart lived Katerina. The only person he wanted to marry was Katerina. Now, he was indeed admitting in front of her that his wife was Gloria. Unfortunately, it was too late. Jasmine politely said, "You must have mistaken her." Jonathan did not answer this question, but instead said to himself, "She loves me very much. In this world, I can't think of anyone else who loves me like she does. Unfortunately, I didn't like her at first. I only married her because she looked like the person I liked." Jasmine, her throat felt dry, and the wind made her eyes sting. She didn't understand, Jonathan, what it meant for him to say these things in front of her now. Are we reminiscing about the past? But in the end, I really fell in love with her. Chapter 19. Until now, Jonathan was finally looking at someone in front of him. He no longer deceived himself. At first, I treated her as a substitute, but I truly fell in love with her. I can distinguish her from others. When I look at her, I no longer see her as someone else. Jasmine, her voice was a bit hoarse, trying hard to hide her sobs. So what? Jonathan, what she is saying now, she has never felt in the past 8 years. When has he ever cared about himself? So I regret it. Jonathan, with red-rimmed eyes and a trembling voice, I regret not seeing my true feelings sooner. Regret why I kept hurting her. Regret doing things that cannot be undone. Gloria, I regret it. Will you forgive me? Let's start over. I will make it up to you little by little. Can we forget the past? Jonathan said, grasping her hand, his eyes red as he asked. Jasmine felt his trembling, but her heart had long been wounded beyond repair. How could it bear this belated love? She slowly pushed him away, tears welling in her eyes, revealing the ring on her ring finger. Sir, I don't know what you mean. I've already said my surname is Mu. I am not your wife, and I have a fiancé. Jonathan stared wide-eyed. He looked at the ring, instinctively retorting, "Impossible." Katerina retorted, "Why is it impossible?" "Because you like me," Jonathan said, suppressing his emotions. "You clearly like me. How could you possibly be engaged to someone else? This is fake, right? You did it on purpose to anger me. I realize my mistake now, and I will never hurt you again. Could you please take back the ring?" In the end, Jonathan almost begged her humbly. Jasmine suddenly felt a bit teary. He knew everything, knew how much he had liked him in the past and how much pain he had endured, but he simply never cared. When she loved Jonathan the most, all she received was endless pain. Now Jonathan is saying these words in front of her again. What does it mean? Jasmine opened her mouth. The Miss Lu you speak of, who loves you so much? Where is she now? Jonathan stood frozen in place. Gloria is dead, and no one knows it better than him. Gloria died on his operating table, died at his hands. The heavy truth tormented him, making it impossible for him to look at the person in front of him, and he even felt unworthy to plead for anything in her presence. But he is so unwilling. Clearly Gloria likes him so much. She should be his. I hurt her. Now I regret it. I just want to seek her forgiveness. Miss Mu, tell me, how can I obtain his forgiveness? When Jonathan spoke, it was as if he was about to shatter. The lounge door was opened again, and Bruno walked in, looking at the strange atmosphere inside. What happened? Seeing him, Jasmine immediately revealed a faint smile. In front of Jonathan, she hugged Bruno and said, "This gentleman mistook me for his wife. She is asking me if, after hurting his wife, he can still seek her forgiveness. Do you think his wife should forgive him?" Bruno gazed deeply at Jasmine. If a man truly loves a woman, he would never bear to hurt her. Since he has already caused harm, he has no right to speak of forgiveness, because the damage is done, and time cannot be turned back to when nothing had happened. Those who harm their loved ones are destined to lack the ability to love, and do not deserve to be loved. Chapter 20. Every word and sentence was exactly what Jasmine wanted to say. She looked at Jonathan and asked, "Mr. Jonathan, do you understand now? Spilled water cannot be retrieved, and a broken mirror cannot be made whole. If you truly cannot let her go, you should raise your child well. It would be a way to make amends to her. If there is anything that still tugs at her heart, it is only Lucas. After all, he is the child she carried for 10 months. But she will not return to the painful past because of this. She wants to start her new life and completely sever the shackles of the past. After speaking, Jasmine led Bruno away. When they reached the dessert table, Jasmine looked at Bruno, hesitated for a moment, and finally spoke. "Aren't you going to ask me something?" Bruno remained calm and served her a piece of small cake. "You will naturally speak when you want to. If you don't want to talk, forcing you won't help. And besides, I trust you." With the small cake presented before her, Bruno's expression was very serious. "Whenever you feel ready to talk to me, I will listen to you slowly then." Jasmine looked at him and took the cake. All of the flavors were her favorites. Jasmine suddenly spoke up. "Bruno, let's get married." The date for the wedding was quickly set. Jasmine stepped further into her new life. Yet Lou's home is shrouded in a lifeless gloom. Katerina has been discharged from the hospital, but she is not happy. The house is enveloped in a stifling atmosphere all day, and Lou's mother occasionally stares blankly at a photo of Gloria. That day, Lou's mother went to Gloria's former room again and began to dust off her few remaining belongings. There are really very few things belonging to Gloria in this house. When Lou's family drove her out in the past, Gloria packed away most of her belongings. The rest were all thrown out by Lou's mother, with some of the discarded items ending up in the storage room. After learning of Gloria's death, Mother Lou rummaged through the storage room and put back the things in her former room. She even had someone customize the bedding and decorations that Gloria had used, rearranging the room to look just like it did before, as if Gloria still lived here. Seeing her like this, Katerina felt wronged and unwilling. Why should she receive all the love just because she died? Arriving at the door, Katerina spoke in a hoarse voice. "Mom, come down and eat something." But Mother Lou only replied coldly, "I'm not eating." Katerina ran over, knelt down to look at Lou mother, tears streaming down her face. "Mom, it's all my fault. Please don't hurt yourself. I'm the one who wronged my sister. You must eat something." But Lou mother pushed her away and slapped her hard. "It's your fault." Lou mother shouted hoarsely at Katerina. "If it weren't for you, how could Gloria have died? How could she have died? My Gloria." Katerina fell to the ground, covering her face in disbelief. Lou mother had never hit her before. Now, to think that I would actually hit her for that Gloria bitch. Katerina could no longer hold back, tears streaming down her face as she questioned, "What does it have to do with me? I didn't perform the surgery. I didn't come up with the idea. Didn't you all say that my heart disease was caused by her? So what if she gave me a heart? Am I not your favorite child? Why do you have to hit me and scold me for such a bitch?" Lou's mother's face turned red with anger, struggling to catch her breath. Just as Lou's father returned home, he heard the commotion, rushed in to support Lou's mother, and kicked her away. "Damn thing! We really spoiled you, Gloria. Even if she has her faults, she is still your biological sister. She lost her life for you. What right do you have to say such things here?" Chapter 21. Katerina was crying uncontrollably. She, like before, covered her chest and loudly claimed she was having difficulty breathing. But all she received was Lou father's cold glare. "Your illness is cured now. This heart belongs to Gloria. It's very healthy. Who would believe you acting like this?" Katerina's expression was completely twisted. Clearly, in her expectations, after completing the surgery, she should naturally receive everything. Parental favoritism, Jonathan's confession. But the truth is she has lost everything. Why did this happen? Katerina was unwilling to accept it, clenching her fists tightly. On the other side, the news of the marriage alliance between the Mu and Chi families quickly spread within the circle. When Jonathan learned the news, his eyes were bloodshot. The once proud son of heaven, who never liked to drink, got completely drunk at the bar, finally lying on the ground, murmuring Gloria's name and the words "I'm sorry." The once warm and happy home was left with nothing but desolation. On the day of the engagement, Jasmine and Bruno appeared side by side, receiving everyone's blessings. Today, Jasmine wore a new pair of high heels, and after a round, her feet began to ache. So she said a word to Bruno and turned to go to the. Just as she arrived at the, she was pounced on by a figure. "Mom!" It was Lucas. At this moment, he was completely different from his usual cold and proud demeanor. With red eyes, he clutched Jasmine's skirt tightly, as if afraid she would disappear. "Mom, do you not want me anymore?" Seeing Lucas, Jasmine's heart instinctively tightened. After all, he is the child she carried for 10 months. She sighed, took out a tissue to wipe Lucas's tears, and tidied up his messy clothes, then looked at Jonathan. "Is this how you take care of him? His shoes are dirty, his clothes are out of season, and his hair looks like it hasn't been washed in days. Most importantly, he looks like he has lost a lot of weight." Seeing that she finally admitted her identity, Jonathan was overjoyed. "I'm so useless. I can't do these things well. Lucas has always been taken care of by you. He can't live without you." Jasmine silently looked at him. She had already guessed that Jonathan brought Lucas to find her for a reason. It was nothing more than wanting to use the child to tie her down. But she had long since resolved to let go of everything from the past. Jasmine looked at the person in front of her and said gently, "You are a smart child, and you are very capable of taking care of yourself. Even without a mother, you can look after yourself well." Lucas burst into tears and choked out, "No, I don't want to. Aren't you my mother? Why won't you take care of me? Why don't you want me? Is it because I don't listen? I know I was wrong. I will listen in the future. Please don't abandon me, and don't abandon Dad. After all, he is just a 7-year-old child. Losing his mother will surely be painful." Jasmine gently stroked his hair. Then she looked at Jonathan. "You shouldn't have brought him here. This will only hurt Lucas even more." Jonathan was filled with thoughts of only her, and said hoarsely, "Even for the child's sake, can we go back? You can choose not to forgive me, hate me for a lifetime. That's fine. Just don't leave me." Jasmine looked at him like this, knowing that if she didn't clarify everything at once, Jonathan wouldn't give up. She said softly, "Jonathan, you're just a bit unaccustomed to it. We have lived together for 8 years. It's normal to feel unaccustomed. Time will soon dull everything, and Katerina is still waiting for you." "No, it's not like that." Jonathan suddenly exclaimed emotionally, "I love you. I only just realized that I can't live without you." Jasmine looked at him, forcing a smile. "Then why did you hurt me again and again in the first place?" Chapter 22. "You know I ask for nothing from you. I just want you to like me." "Jonathan, you said you liked me a long time ago. I believe you, but your affection is too shallow. You will always keep my favor at 99%, forever dangling that 1% in front of me." Jasmine, her voice began to tremble, choking on each word as she said, "I am human. I can feel pain. I can get tired. Why do you think I will unconditionally keep giving?" Jonathan shook his head in agony. Suddenly his knees buckled, and he knelt before her, pleading with a trembling voice, "It's not like that. I'm just scared. I'm afraid that you are only by my side because of the system. I'm afraid that once your favor reaches 100%, you will leave. I can't lose you. I just can't lose you." The painful memories of the past seemed to engulf her once again. Jasmine wiped the tears from her face, pushed Jonathan away, shaking her head. "But what has happened has already happened. Jonathan, I have been hurt by you beyond repair. Please don't torment me any longer." She just wanted to start a new life. Seeing the pain on Jasmine's face, Jonathan felt as if he had been struck hard, collapsing in a disheveled and dejected heap. Jasmine tearfully spoke, "Today is my engagement party. If you really feel even a little bit guilty about me, please don't ruin the few moments of happiness I have left, okay?" Jonathan couldn't say a word at all. He finally understood that the harm he had caused Gloria was already beyond repair. Jasmine vanished from the lounge. Beside him, Lucas stared blankly at everything, already knowing deep down that he would never have a mother again. Suddenly, countless feelings of sadness and grief surged up. He swung his fist at Jonathan and shouted, "It's all your fault. It's all your fault for driving Mom away. I don't have a mom anymore." As he spoke, Lucas burst into tears. Jonathan held him silently, tears streaming down from the corners of his eyes. "We are all guilty. They are all sinners who have harmed Gloria. The crimes are too numerous to list. Gloria is right. They have no right to seek forgiveness." On stage, Jasmine has regained her poised and beautiful appearance, walking towards the flower-strewn stage amidst the crowd's adoration. Jonathan watched all of this with red-rimmed eyes. That night, Jonathan got drunk again at the bar. At midnight, Jonathan awoke in pain, groggy as he took a taxi to the hospital. He arrived at the place where he once performed surgery on Gloria, lying on the cold operating table. The chill pierced to the bone. The scene from that day was still vivid in his mind. Gloria was pinned to this table, injected with anesthesia. How cold she must have been. Tears fell as Jonathan bitterly curled up, feeling a pain in his chest. He slept like that until the next day. When Jonathan woke up, he heard Katerina's voice outside. Crazy. Everyone is crazy. Just because of a Gloria. Everyone is against me. What did I do wrong? The heart was Jonathan who dug it out. Why should I be blamed? I thought he liked me so much, even considering whether to be with him. But now he comes to blame me instead. My parents have gone crazy too. They used to hate Gloria, that bitch, the most. And now that she's dead, I've become the sinner. She came for a follow-up appointment, and the days of torment led her to find an empty corridor to vent to a friend over the phone. Every word she said was clearly heard by Jonathan in the operating room. Chapter 23. A nonchalant voice came from the other end of the line. All right. Stop pretending to be virtuous. You've gained a healthy body. Isn't that worth more than anything else? Tell me the truth. Before the surgery, you really didn't know that was your sister's heart? Jonathan's heart suddenly sank. Katerina let out a cold laugh. Then she said slowly, I'm not an idiot. I didn't have a heart source before, and suddenly there's a heart source anyone could guess. I was just pretending not to know. Otherwise, how could I maintain my persona? I still want her heart. After saying that, Katerina spat again. She had a worthless life anyway, and she owed me. Giving me her heart is only right. Now that it's turned out like this, it's so annoying. As soon as the words fell, Jonathan in the operating room could no longer hold back and rushed out. Katerina was startled. Seeing Jonathan, she instinctively wanted to run, but was firmly grabbed. What did you just say? Katerina turned pale and stammered. And no, nothing. Jonathan, brother. Did you misunderstand? Jonathan looked very bad. As if he wanted to eat someone. You knew from the very beginning that I was going to take Gloria's heart to swap with you. You knew everything. Katerina was so scared that her face turned pale, and she began to cry softly. Brother Jonathan, I don't understand what you're saying. Jonathan had completely seen through her disguise. Furious to the core. It's all an act. Your affection for me is an act. This pitiful appearance is also an act. You've been deceiving all of us. I can't believe I hurt Gloria for someone like you. I'm so stupid. Jonathan seemed to have learned some great joke, and he laughed at himself. What on earth has he done? The nurse and security guard who rushed over upon hearing the commotion quickly blocked Jonathan, saying, Dr. Jonathan, don't act impulsively. Katerina seized the opportunity and ran quickly. Jonathan pushed away the security guard who was grabbing him and went to his office. He pulled out Katerina's medical records, examining them one by one, and suddenly he burst into laughter, laughing like a madman, then raised his hand and slapped himself hard. In Katerina's past medical records, it was clearly stated that her heart disease was far from life-threatening. It was her decision to skydive despite knowing her heart condition and ignoring medical advice. The result led to the worsening of her heart disease, necessitating hospitalization and a heart transplant. Even if a heart transplant was needed, it wasn't urgent enough to require an immediate operation. In the hospital, Katerina pretended to be in great pain to expedite her surgery, even deliberately refusing medication to worsen her condition, because she knew that no matter what, Jonathan would find a way for her. In fact, Jonathan really did come up with a solution for her. It was to take Gloria's heart. Thinking of this, Jonathan suddenly felt he deserved it. He had been deceived by such a person. To dig out Gloria's heart with his own hands and force her to suffer so much. What right did he have to seek forgiveness? Now he has lost everything. The people who love him, the people he loves, all because of Katerina. What right does she have to use Gloria's heart? Thinking of this, Jonathan walked out of the hospital and drove straight to Lua's house. At this moment, The Liu house was shrouded in gloom. Katerina had just returned home and saw Liu's father sitting in the living room, furious. While Liu's mother's face was so dark it seemed to drip ink, Katerina was a bit scared and cautiously asked, "Dad, Mom, why are you both home?" Liu's father suddenly stood up and gave Katerina a hard slap. The force of this slap was immense. Katerina crashed heavily to the ground. She still didn't know what had happened. Shocked, she exclaimed, "Dad, what are you doing?" Liu's father played a recording in front of her. It was exactly what she had just said in the hospital corridor, recorded by Jonathan. At the first moment, it was sent to Liu's father's phone. Chapter 24. Liu's mother's face was filled with disbelief, mixed with pain and disgust. "We always thought you were a good child, but it turns out you were just acting, deceiving your own biological parents and harming your own sister. You have taken her life." Liu shouted at her loudly, each word dripping with sorrow. Katerina knew she could no longer hide the truth. With red eyes, she unwillingly shouted, "What does it have to do with me? I didn't make her die. It was you who drove her out of Liu's house. And it was Jonathan who took her heart. I did nothing. I am the most innocent one. Weren't you the ones who hated her the most before, wishing for her to die outside? Now that she is really dead, why are you unhappy? Do you think you are good parents?" Liu's face flushed with anger as he clutched his chest, his body shaking uncontrollably. Katerina, however, didn't care at all, her eyes red as she said, "Since childhood, you and I have been told that my heart disease was caused by Gloria. That Gloria was born indebted to me. Mom, didn't you say that if you only had me, it would be enough? Now that Gloria is dead, her heart is in my body. Can't you just pretend you only had one child?" Katerina didn't understand what was wrong with her parents. It clearly wasn't like this before. Liu's mother was frozen in place by this statement, staring at her with wide eyes. At this moment, she finally understood that the words she once spoke would truly come to pass. "It's my fault." Liu's mother collapsed to her knees with a thud, holding Gloria's photo in her arms, crying heart-wrenchingly, "I taught you wrong. I am a failed mother. I caused my daughter's death." Tears fell drop by drop, and Liu's mother seemed to age decades in an instant. When Jonathan arrived, he saw Liu's father convulsing on the ground and Liu's mother crying uncontrollably. And there was Katerina, watching coldly from the side. "She is about to leave." Jonathan stopped her abruptly, his eyes bloodshot. "Why did you harm Gloria?" Katerina was now furious, forcefully shaking off Jonathan. "Who harmed her? It was you who harmed her. I did nothing. Yet each of you shifts the blame onto me. Selfish and hypocritical, narrow-minded and vicious. You should thank me. If it weren't for me, she would have been cremated to ashes. At least now there is still a heart beating inside my body." Jonathan stumbled a couple of steps and chuckled softly. He did not refute Katerina's words, but instead self-deprecatingly said, "Yeah, I am selfish and hypocritical, narrow-minded and malicious. It was I who harmed Gloria. But someone like you, what right do you have to possess Gloria's heart?" As he spoke, Jonathan gripped Katerina's neck tightly, pressing her hard against the ground. The feeling of suffocation surged. Katerina then realized that Jonathan truly wanted her life. She struggled desperately to call for help. But at that moment, the villa was completely empty. Even the maid had gone home. The sharp nails cut through Jonathan's arm, and he suddenly let go with a start. Katerina gasped as she got up, her eyes no longer filled with arrogance, fearfully saying, "I was wrong. I shouldn't have said those things. I didn't mean it." In Jonathan's hand, he surprisingly held a sharp scalpel. Katerina was so scared that her voice trembled. "Jonathan, brother, I really know I was wrong. Please don't come any closer." Jonathan could no longer hear anything. In his mind, the voices of Katerina and Gloria intertwined. One was cruelly reminding him of how he had once hurt his beloved, a never-ending mockery, mocking his foolish and laughable actions, mocking his self-inflicted suffering. Chapter 25. When he woke up, his subordinates were warm. He had dug out Katerina's heart. Seeing that warm, familiar heart, Jonathan seemed to return to the day of the surgery. The nurse asked him, "Dr. Jonathan, isn't it time for the transplant?" Jonathan replied without thinking, "No, don't do it. This is Gloria's heart. He wants to return the heart to Gloria. But looking around, he couldn't see Gloria anywhere. He got up, cradling the heart in his arms, wanting to find Gloria. That night, when the police found Jonathan, he was lying in the snow, with a pool of bright red blood beneath him. Lou's father lay paralyzed in the villa, while Lou's mother fainted from shock. The investigation into the case revealed a living organ donation scandal, shocking the entire city. The trending news of the day exploded. Jasmine learned of the news 3 days after the incident. Since the last time she parted with Jonathan, she turned off her phone and stopped looking at the information outside. She just didn't want to be tied down by past events, but she didn't want to learn from Mr. Mu that the Liu family had gone bankrupt. After Jonathan was arrested, the Liu family could no longer hide the fact that they had exchanged one daughter's life for another. Public opinion was in an uproar. The hospitals under the Liu family went bankrupt, and all involved personnel were arrested. The stock price of the Liu family plummeted, and they quickly announced their bankruptcy. Mr. Liu, due to a stroke and delayed medical attention, woke up with paralysis on one side, a crooked mouth, and drooping eyes, lying in bed needing assistance for eating, drinking, and using the restroom. Liu was overly shocked, mentally unstable, and clung to Gloria's photo all day long, refusing to let go. The once grand Liu family has fallen. Roma lost her mother and was taken away by her father from abroad. Jonathan was diagnosed with schizophrenia and locked up in a mental hospital. Once an invincible genius, he is now reduced to a captive mental patient, with countless people discussing and sighing. When Jasmine arrived at the mental hospital, the first thing she saw was the dazed Jonathan. He had lost a lot of weight. His cheeks were sunken, and his hair had been cut short, no longer possessing his former vitality. Seeing her, Jonathan's previously vacant eyes suddenly focused. "You look like someone I know," Jasmine asked. "Like who?" "Like my wife. Unfortunately, I hurt her, and she will never forgive me. Not in this lifetime." As he spoke, Jonathan suddenly laughed and cried, repeatedly saying, "She won't forgive me. She won't." As she left, Jasmine took one last look at Jonathan. "Let our 8 years of grievances be settled here. I no longer hate you, and you shouldn't remember me either. Let's both start anew." On her way out, Jasmine stopped by the social welfare center. After Jonathan was locked up, Lucas was sent to the welfare home. In the director's office, Jasmine donated a large sum of money to the welfare home, standing by the window and looking down at Lucas from afar. Unlike the other children, Lucas sat alone in a corner, drawing by himself. Seeing this, the director sighed. The child has just arrived. It's natural for him to be a bit unaccustomed, but our teachers are very caring, and there are several autistic children in the home who have adapted very well. As they spoke, several children walked up to Lucas and asked, "What are you drawing? Can we draw with you?" Lucas used to dislike playing with others. At this moment, he hesitated for a moment and nodded. Jasmine looked at the people downstairs for a long time and said, "From now on, every year, Mu family will donate to the orphanage, and I will come to see this child from time to time. Please take good care of him for me." The dean nodded repeatedly. As he was leaving, the dean asked, "Aren't you going to meet the child in person?" Jasmine thought for a moment and shook her head. It's better to let it go. The past will only bring more worries. Seeing Lucas doing well here, she felt relieved. As for the future, let's look forward together. In the years to come, take care of yourselves.